This is Shoreline for CrabCon 2025, the annual news magazine covering news, history, science, trivia, and trends in all things land hermit crab related. Here's your host, Larisa Meeks.
Welcome to Shoreline 2025. In this episode, we will cover some important anniversaries, hermit crabs in all the wrong places, media news, as well as tips and tools. Watch for QR codes throughout the presentation. And join us for the live Q&A at the end. Since we last met at CrabCon 2024, the Land Hermit Crab Owners Society celebrated their 25th anniversary back in August. Born from a Yahoo group back in 1999, they have continued to promote proper care and adoption. According to their website, one of the core missions of Lycos has always been to educate both new and seasoned hermit crab owners. Over the years, we have developed an extensive library of resources, from care guides and habitat setup tutorials to articles on the natural behavior and biology of hermit crabs. Our educational efforts have empowered countless individuals to provide better care for their pets, leading to healthier and happier hermit crabs. Hermit crabs who are not only living longer in captivity, but also breeding in captivity, leading to the world's first captive-bred land hermit crabs being kept as pets through the efforts of Hermit House founder and breeder Mary Akers and other Hermit House breeders. Lycos continues to support Hermit House and its mission to keep wild crabs in the wild. 2025 marks the 50th anniversary of two important factors that kicked off the hermit crab fad of the 1970s and spawned a brand new pet market, and both will be mentioned again in this program.
In the 1950s and 60s, these baby red-eared slider turtles were the favored first pet of American children in classrooms. But the Food and Drug Administration banned the sale of turtles smaller than 4 inches in 1975, citing a severe risk of salmonella. The FDA says the ban prevents 100,000 children a year from getting infected.
The pet rock begins its life on the beaches of Baja California. Dahl is the man who created the pet rock, an idea, he says, whose time has come.
It's been incredible. We mailed our first pet rocks to the stores October 1st, and by Christmas we'll have sold well over 1 million units. That kind of stuff just doesn't happen. But on the declining curve, we'll probably sell another 1 million or 2.
And then you'll be out of the pet rock business.
Then I'll be out of the rock business and into some other insane scheme. Or lying on a beach someplace not caring about it.
Did you know there is a museum dedicated to shells in Florida? The Bailey Matthews National Shell Museum and Aquarium is the only accredited museum in the United States devoted solely to shells and mollusks. Raymond Burr of Perry Mason fame donated part of his shell collection and once served as the campaign chairman for the museum. The museum opened to the public in 1995. It has been impacted by several hurricanes, with Ian in September 2022 being the most damaging. Located on Sanibel Island in Florida, it is just outside Cape Coral and Fort Myers. The museum offers an online guide to Southwest Florida shells. Just scan the QR code to browse the online database that contains hundreds of specimens. The museum's mission is to use exceptional collections, aquariums, programs, experiences, and science to be the nation's leading museum in the conservation, preservation, interpretation, and celebration of shells, the mollusks that create them, and their ecosystems. They have a wonderful bumper sticker in the museum shop that says, "If you want to save the whales, you've got to save the snails." And now for this year's top story, hermit crabs in all the wrong places. The 1970s was a decade with an identity crisis and full of contradictions. The decade saw the first U.S. president to resign from office and the first man to serve as president that was neither elected president nor vice president.
That I welcome this kind of examination because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
Now, therefore, I, Gerald R. Ford, President of the United States, have granted, and by these presents do grant, a full, free, and absolute pardon unto Richard Nixon.
Oddly, on the heels of the atomic age, space exploration, and the moon landing, the home decor trend turned back to colonial style and celebrated the Revolutionary War. Who could have predicted a duet by David Bowie and Bing Crosby? Little House on the Prairie, set in the 1870s, was a hit on TV with approximately 45% of American television viewers tuning in for the pilot movie. Mork and Mindy was a contemporary spin-off of the program Happy Days, which was set in the 1950s and 60s. And while many people were protesting the Vietnam War, they were also watching MASH. The TV writers had to be careful to not appear to be protesting war while showing the damage of the conflict. So I guess it might not be surprising that stores struggled with their own identities too. Businesses were chasing the hottest trends, even if they didn't fit with their brand. Now let's visit some retailers that sold hermit crabs and were not pet stores, starting with stores that you may not have realized even had a live pet department back in the day.
Bill Bailey may be the luckiest night watchman in the world. For a few hours, he's got Woolworth all to himself. For wandering,
Woolworths offered a hermit crab, bowl, and sand for $2.88. Woolworth was known for selling those pet turtles with painted shells.
So I collected turtles. I guess they had a lot of germs back then, but we didn't know. And we never washed our hands because that was before hand washing was really big.
Okay.
Anyway, so Duty was about yay big, had a painted shell. And I think they painted them here at Woolworths, which isn't also good for them. It's not natural. But he had a pretty flower on his shell, but it looked nice.
Walmart's Super Inflation Buster sale blasts through the inflation barrier with big discount savings on hundreds of...
Walmart was all about the Grab a Crab marketing campaign. Their ad does acknowledge that the hermit crab can live up to 50 years. As you will see with many ads, they are often referred to as tree crabs or land crabs. Kmart had special sales of 2 for $3 on hermit crabs. That would translate to about 2 for $16 today. One ad was kind of misleading, saying that hermit crabs stay attached to their shell. Nothing is mentioned about needing additional shells. At one grand opening, Kmart offered the hermit crabs as doorbusters for just 88 cents, or about $5 today. That isn't much more than the 12-ounce jar of peanuts seen in the same ad. Be the first in your neighborhood to have a pet hermit crab. Hurry! Sears offered hermit crab kits with the hermit crab, terrarium, a shell, a bag of sand, 2 plants, and a water cup for about the equivalent of $44 in today's money. Their low price seemed to be 77 cents, which is about $4.32 when adjusted for inflation. Montgomery Ward had something called a TV tank that they offered for hermit crabs, but instead of sand, they sold gravel. Selling that set at $2.88 would cost you over $15 now.
From all around the world they come. Christmas cargo to Pier 1.
Pier 1 selling pets kind of surprised me, and it wasn't just hermit crabs. They seemed to specialize in aquariums and fish in addition to home decor. And probably the oddest themed store I found was the aquarium, which was a jeans and tackle superstore. Get your pants, hamsters, hermit crabs, and pet fish all at one location. How about department stores?
Six Flags Mall is the largest shopping center in Tarrant County, the area's first regional shopping facility, and the second largest such complex in Texas.
Take a good look at Gimbals.
Something you will see in most department store ads is the crabs by the Great American Crab Company. This was a huge marketing movement in the late 1970s, saying that hermit crabs were the latest rage in domestic pets. The company also promoted the Great American Crab Race, which sometimes gave out trophies, or in this case, raised money for muscular dystrophy. Notice JCPenney sold hermit crabs in the luggage department with impulse gifts. The ads would sometimes mention how much more fun hermit crabs were than pet rocks, but they usually said the life expectancy was closer to 10 to 15 years. The Great American Crab Company not only sold the crabs, but also books, food, coral, bowls, misters, and promotional items. Milliken's sold hermit crabs right next to the dictionaries. That $1.50 hermit crab would translate to about $8.41 in today's money. At least Powers was giving the hermit crab its proper scientific name, Cenobita clypeatus. Moss Brothers advertised hermit crabs next to the coffee pots and in their pre-Christmas toy sale ad. The Great American Crab Company actually trademarked the name The Crabs. They recommended lettuce, cereal, and dog food for a hermit crab diet, or you could buy their pre-made foods. Peddlers in the mall, purveyors of the unique, were hawking hermit crabs along with discount wrapping paper and a new calendar. And who doesn't love a bargain? We can't forget all those discount stores.
Start the new year right with Meijer Dollar Days. It's the first major event of our 50th anniversary year. Starts tomorrow.
Meijer's Thrifty Acres had all your discount pet supplies and hermit crabs for just $1.47. Rink's Bargain City had crabs marked down to just 99 cents, or $5.55 adjusted for inflation. The Akron sold climbing coral and the little round cages. The store As You Like It sold both crab shacks and crabarariums, terms that were used before Crab-A-Tap. Do you think you'd find a hermit crab at a hardware store or a lawn and garden store?
I've been up at first this year. Everything you want is here. Almost first, home and nursery.
That's right, you could pick up a pet hermit crab along with your paint. They also hosted the Great American Crab Races at their home centers. Hardy Gardens had a special section just for hermit crabs, and Western Garden Centers and Fairy's Tropical Plants were both selling hermit crabs for just under $2. It appears the seed and nursery stores and even the do-it-yourself centers offered hermit crabs. They were promoted as the year's end gift. The Brooks Feed and Farm Supply store had them in stock, along with baby bunnies for Easter. The Hawkins Greenhouse and the Flower Shop mentioned both hermit crabs and animals from Uruguay. Wonder if they meant the crabs were from Uruguay. While Easter may have had bunnies and chicks, it seems some hardware stores really pushed hermit crabs for Christmas. And how about Central Jersey pools for your sauna and a hermit crab? Then there were the drugstores. Pick up your clean, odorless, quiet hermit crab when you fill your next prescription. H&K Pharmacy sold an unbreakable plastic home with what they called crab diggins. Maybe you want to get a hermit crab while selecting your greeting cards. After all, they are free of fleas and ticks. White Drugs says they are the easiest pet to care for. Robordi Drugs did actually attempt to give more specific information on the hermit crabs, but still put them very close to toys. And I know part of the draw of a pet hermit crab has to be the low vet bills and their availability right next to the school supplies. After seeing them at so many places, I guess it is easy to imagine them being available at gift shops, and I don't mean just seaside souvenir gift shops. The Picket Post offered gifts of quality and character, like the pet hermit crab. Many gift shops carried nature gems with preserved hermit crabs even before the pet hermit crab fad really got going. Hermit crabs were definitely the biggest thing in little pets. I wonder what was so special about those $3.50 hermit crabs in Bayview. That was high dollar. And those crabarariums and crab shacks were all the rage, sold alongside pottery and brass lamps. In addition to the gift shops, I did stumble across a company that hand-painted swimsuits, including those with hermit crabs. Okay, who would have thought you could find a pet hermit crab in a grocery store?
Hey, Albertsons, we want low prices.
Folks, you came to the right place.
I really had to do a double take and verify that this particular Albertsons location sold food and hermit crabs, and they did. But I don't think at $2.99 they had the lowest price. You really could get your ground beef at the same place you bought your hermit crab. Now in presidential news. Did you know a hermit crab has made it to the White House? In December 1977, President Jimmy Carter and his wife Rosalind were spotted returning to the White House carrying a box marked Live Hermit Crab. That's right, it was one of those travel boxes from the Great American Crab Company. Newspaper coverage said it was a gift for their daughter Amy from a Georgia friend, and used it as an opportunity to explain the hermit crab fad and included information from several sellers.
We'll be right back.
Hey teachers, do you have a classroom pet? Is it a hermit crab? Well, Claws in the Classroom is here to help. Go to lycos.org/claws-in-the-classroom.
Scan the QR code to find out how you can support Claws in the Classroom or recommend it to a teacher in need. Do you have The Complete Guide to Land Hermit Crabs and Their Care by Stacy Griffith? You can find this gem on Amazon. It's the ultimate resource for any hermit crab enthusiast, whether you are a beginner or a seasoned keeper. This comprehensive guide dives deep into every aspect of hermit crab care, ensuring that your little friends stay happy, healthy, and active. Have questions about what to feed your hermit crab? Then you need the original fresh and foraged foods for land hermit crabs from My Hungry Hermit. This must-have resource is available on My Hungry Hermit's website. You can scan the QR code to go directly to the website where you can find this book in both paperback and hardback editions. Also available on Etsy and Amazon. Never forage without it.
And now let's take a look at the world of media. As of this spring, the Lycos Reddit had 3,500 members and continues to grow. And the Lycos Facebook group has now hit a massive 17,000 members. Over on TikTok, Lycos has over 1,100 followers, and Hermit House has almost 1,700 followers. The Colossal Crab-A-Tent has 3,400 followers. Janie Groling has over 175,000 followers, with a couple of posts reaching over 1 million views. User Dr. Bugs posted about rescuing a group of crabs from the trash, and it scored nearly 19,000 likes. YouTube channel Fluffy Feather Farm, with over 68,000 subscribers, got hermit crabs at the fair back in August 2024. Thanks to wonderful online advocates, the family upgraded their crab habitat. This shows the importance of politely engaging YouTubers and social media content creators with helpful suggestions. YouTuber Tarantula Cat produced a video titled Most Neglected Pet, Stop Impulse Buying These. Everything you know about hermit crabs is wrong. While the video may not be 100% up to Lycos standards, it is an improvement over store instruction. Uploaded on December 5th, 2024, it received more than 86,000 views in less than 3 months and reached many folks who don't even have a hermit crab.
And the problem with impulsive pets is usually people aren't prepared. Another unique issue when it comes to hermit crabs is the fact that they are usually catered towards children. And we see a lot of pets that are more catered towards children's pets. They're often neglected. If it gets sick, let's just get a new one.
SC Johnson, Conservation International, Earth Echo International, and Plastic Bank launched a new advocacy campaign to reduce plastic waste with Zuzu the hermit crab. But it is unclear how long the adventure left Zuzu shellless. Last summer, hermit crabs made the cover of the free tourist publication Outer Banks Milepost, which covers the Outer Banks in North Carolina. It had interviews with Mary Akers, Caitlin Knipe, Stacy Griffith, and myself. The writer of the article, Matt Walker, allowed us to present our side of why hermit crabs are not starter pets or good impulse purchases. You can check out the article yourself on the Outer Banks Milepost website under Back Issues. Lycos member Sarah Harano reported that Radiolab for Kids re-released Mary Akers' interview for Pop-Up Magazine and Radiolab. Angela V. Sayre of Crustacean Plantation released 2 new books, Adapt and Thrive, Hermit Crab Wisdom for Life's Journey, and Hermit Crab Wisdom, Little Lessons for Big Hearts. Angela also worked with a local animal nonprofit to stop a crab race at Snappers in Key Largo back in January. Spring Break 2025 provided the opportunity to kick off the first annual shell drive to provide wild hermit crabs with natural shells. Crustacean Plantation has returned over 18,000 shells to the wild for native hermit crabs in the past 6 years. Prize vendors included many Lycos-approved sellers. Crustacean Plantation was also featured in an online People magazine article in March. Disney Plus released Season 2 of A Real Bug's Life with an episode featuring hermit crabs.
Well, hello.
During a recent trip to the History of Diving Museum in the Florida Keys, I discovered a cool book called Clam I Am, All About the Beach by Tish Rabe. It covers a variety of shoreline creatures, including the hermit crab.
Hermit crabs don't have shells, so they look till they find empty shells on the sand that have been left behind. Then they drag these new shells everywhere they go. When the shells get too tight, they need more room to grow.
And now for tips and tools. Links to products featured here are on my blog, crustaceanpets.blogspot.com. These are non-affiliate links, and I make no money from purchases. Let's talk pool nets. Unlike the typical fish nets sold in aquarium sections of your pet store, these particular pool nets have fine mesh and are not very deep at all. They are almost flat. These nets are perfect for skimming that fallen moss out of your pools. I found these on Amazon, and they are listed as aquarium fish nets or plastic Artemia sieves. Have you discovered a crab-related use for those dry silica packs?
When you get these little silica gel packs and things, don't throw them away. You should be keeping as many as possible. These little packets, they contain silicon dioxide, and they will keep anything that they are near or on dry from humidity and moisture. These little gel packs, they're not toxic and they're not harmful. However, they are small. They are not edible. So you want to make sure that you keep them out of reach of children, pets, or anyone who may mistake them for something else.
Mostly found in boxes and bags of non-food items you purchase, these can be used in containers for your hermit crab foods to keep moisture at bay. This can extend the shelf life of their food. And they're free. Who doesn't like free? How do you administer your Prime?
So when you buy your bottle of Prime, it comes with a foil seal on the top of your bottle, okay? Do not break that seal. That thing is going to be so helpful. So keep your seal like that. Then take your just common dinner table toothpick, and you're going to just poke one hole in the top where that foil is, just one tiny hole. Now you have an easy way to measure drops right from your bottle.
Another way, especially if you've already removed the foil, is to keep your Prime in glass dropper bottles. The cobalt blue glass protects the product from sunlight. Not only is this an attractive method, you can also split up larger bottles to keep Prime in multiple locations within your home. Calibrating hygrometers. You don't have to understand Raoult's law or Henry's law to calibrate your hygrometer. Maybe you are comfortable doing the salt test as seen on Crab Central Station's humidity video, but what if you just aren't sure you're doing it right? If you second guess yourself on the salt and water ratio or the size of the bag you use, there is a mess-free, one-step way often used for calibrating hygrometers in cigar humidors. The kit is reusable for up to 3 months once it has been opened, making it perfect for calibrating multiple hygrometers.
Hey, this is Rob, and I'm going to teach you how to use a one-step calibration kit from Boveda. Boveda makes 2 calibration kits, one at 32% and one at 75% relative humidity. Pick the calibration kit that is closest to the RH level that you're going to be storing at. Step 1, simply place your hygrometer inside the bag and completely reclose the top zipper. Step 2, allow the calibration kit to sit for 24 to 36 hours. After the hygrometer has finished calibrating, if the hygrometer does not read the exact RH level printed on the inside of the kit, note the difference between the hygrometer reading and the RH printed on the Boveda inside the kit. That difference is going to be your hygrometer's margin of error. And this is going to be the amount of percentage points that you're going to want to add or subtract in order to get an accurate reading from your hygrometer. If you have a hygrometer that is adjustable and you feel inclined to do that, go ahead and do that and then place this hygrometer back inside the Boveda calibration bag and let it sit for 24 to 36 hours to make sure your adjustment is accurate. Congratulations, your hygrometer has now been calibrated. These hygrometers can be fickle, so be sure to recalibrate maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
Ambient weather stations. If you already own an ambient weather station or are looking at purchasing one as a weather enthusiast, you might be interested in trying their wireless temperature and humidity sensor in your crab habitat.
Ambient Weather WH31E Wireless Temperature and Humidity Sensor. The WH31E sensor can be used indoor and outdoor. They connect automatically to your weather system. The sensors and station can report to ambientweather.net, where data is kept up to 1 year. You can buy multiple sensors and place them in several rooms inside and outside your property within the max range of 300 feet line of sight.
You can monitor your crab habitat's temperature and humidity on the same dashboard used for tracking your backyard weather station. You can see the stats on the app on your phone or on the display console. They also offer a soil moisture sensor that, while I wouldn't recommend it for the typical crab habitat, those of you attempting greenhouse enclosures might be interested in it.
The soil moisture sensor measures moisture content in the soil and transmits this type of information once every 72 seconds to the display console and to our cloud service, ambientweather.net. The information can then be accessed through the console, online dashboard, Amazon Alexa, Google Home, IFTTT, and so much more. The sensor can be placed inside or around your home, and you can send email, text, or IFTTT alerts when watering is required. The WH31SM has a water resistance rating of IPX5.
If you haven't discovered this little treat, here's a bonus for you all. Beach Sounds and Hermit Crabs by Nature and Chill on YouTube offers 1 hour of ambiance. For more information and links concerning this year's presentation, please visit my blog, crustaceanpets.blogspot.com, or email me at crustaceanpets@gmail.com. Special thanks to Bobby Meeks for his fabulous video and sound editing. And thank you. See you in 2026.
Last year's Shoreline on the blog, and I also have the history of hermit crab keeping from 2023, which Mary talked me into doing. And it was crazy because I think at the time I agreed I'd only had hermit crabs like 4 months. But I'm a history person, so I was like, okay, I'll just find out. Yes.
So last year, so you studied a lot of articles about hermit crab keeping.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting when you said it shows the pets were coming from blank in Uruguay. But do you think the timeline of articles for hermit crabs coming from the Keys better corresponds with?
I think they all denied, is what I think happened.
Really?
I could not find anyone who would own up to say that they were Keys. They would say things like, oh no, this is ours from Puerto Rico. So I just don't think they were being honest about it because, as you saw in the articles, there were so many being yanked out. And that's the other thing is, numbers were always all over the place, not just with hermit crabs, but even the pet turtle. They would say, okay, this percentage of households, and that would translate to a few million, but then the people selling the turtles were like, yeah, we sell 20 million turtles a year. And so the numbers are not really accurate. And like I said, nobody owned up to taking out for the store to keep. But those kids, the middle schoolers, were very important to getting a law passed that they couldn't take them. Yes.
Just a quick note, you're right on that coastline.
Ah.
So that's interesting.
It is. I think they just throw things out there in their advertisement.
I have a question. I have about half a dozen children's books on hermit crabs. They're all marine hermit crabs. Is there any literature on land hermit crabs for children? Books do you actually cover up any of that?
Not really. And then the thing that I noticed in history for a long time is that when they said hermit crabs, marine and land was interchangeable. They really didn't make the distinction until the 70s, and most people seem to call them tree crabs. And that isn't exactly what you saw in the book, was a label like tree crab.
Larissa, while we're waiting for a second bite, can you repeat the question before you answer
Oh, okay.
for everybody online?
Yes. Asking about any particular book. I haven't found a lot of literature on land hermit crabs for children.
Larissa.
Yes.
So there is a book that I found recently. I don't know how old it is, but it's called The Strange Life of Hermit Crabs. And it is the best book I've ever seen because it accurately describes how they spawn and mate and their entire life cycle. Stumbled across it on Amazon.
Mentioned Strange Life of Hermit Crabs is a very accurate book.
There's one question online. When did scientists discover land hermit crabs could live as long as 50 years?
When did scientists? Well, that's an interesting thing because the people that were selling them were not scientists. Again, a lot of the marketing was not necessarily based on reality. I think they just guessed. I really don't think there was a scientific basis for that. There were so many things that were said, not just in the ad, but by the sellers. When I got into hermit crabs, it was by accident. My pastor's family was relocating. I took the hermit crabs from their daughters, knew nothing about it. Then I started talking to children because we were in the homeschool world. And I started hearing what they were told when they were sold hermit crabs. And one of the things they were told was hermit crabs don't poop. And if you homeschool kids, you know that's got to hurt you so bad that you're going, okay, this is the opposite of science. And I heard stories of people releasing them into the wild. We live in Memphis. They're not going to make it through the winter. I found children that were really upset that they had bought them places like Gatlinburg, which is nowhere near a coast, or at a suburban festival. And one kid that I've had for years in my science classes was just like, they never told me they needed more shells. And he was not little at the time. We're talking about like middle school age. And it was just an outdoor festival where he bought his hermit crabs. And so a lot of my advocacy is not just for the animals, it's for children and for parents that are being sold the idea that this is a starter pet, this is easy, this isn't going to cost you a whole lot of money. They only live like a year or two, but they don't explain they're dying the whole year or two you've got them because you don't have them in the proper care. So you're automatically setting a child up for failure. And that's why I focus a lot on the idea of animal husbandry. And last year I mentioned for starter pets, one idea is the father fish resurrection jar, taking pond water, which is actually a high school science project, and gauging your child's interest of watching a resurrection jar and looking for things to grow. Can they maintain their interest for 30 days with a jar of water? If not, then you probably don't need to be getting a fish or a hermit crab. Because the hermit crab can be quite disappointing to children as well because they're nocturnal and they're like, they don't do anything and they pinch or you touch them. So again, accurate information. I consider it a win if I talk a mom out of getting a picture of the hermit crab. Even if they would consider adoption, I'm like, yeah, I don't know that that's really the best idea. Because what you're being told is not accurate. Anybody else? Yes.
A quick follow-up with regard to the scientific papers on age. There's one paper published by Rainer Kenneth, who's a very famous education biologist at the Smithsonian. He kept a land hermit crab on his desk in a crab pad, I think for 30 years, documented. He didn't know how old it was when he died.
So
he did publish a very short note somewhere that he knew to be 33 years old, exactly as he had it. Didn't know how old it was.
Okay, so at the Smithsonian, they did have a scientist who was able to keep one for 33 years and document that he didn't know how old the crab was, which is true of Jonathan Livingston, which, by the way, there'll be a piece next year about Jonathan Livingston and Crab Kate because next year will be the 50th anniversary of their purchase. So I'm going to try to dig in and find out more about the stores in that area. I still don't know which store she got them from. Anybody else? Well, I really appreciate y'all letting me do Shoreline. I like to kind of document since the last crab time, but some stuff maybe the summer before that didn't make it in time for the deadline for turning in my presentation. But for the community, I'm able to document what's going on. And then I also am able to dig. I was excited to find the presidential hermit crab thing. That was the big story for me this year, besides all the strange places. Because as I had been saving ads for a couple of years, and I was like, I'm just going to focus on the stores that aren't even pet stores. And so that was a huge amount. In 1977, you're just going grocery stores and department stores. And really, they were just trying to follow up to the 1976 Pet Rock. Yeah, so everybody's like, we can sell them all, like fidget spinners. But they're live creatures. Okay, Stacy? Any more questions? Okay.
Yeah, you guys can, the breakfast goes away at 10. There's fruit juice too and water. The next thing will start on the hour, and that'll be the history of crab.
If you put it back to the main stage, it should show the next upcoming